Welcome to the Infill Podcast, where we interview the most interesting members of the 3D printing and maker communities, live and with audience participation. And now, here is your host, Jonathan Levy.
Hello, and welcome everyone to a little bit of a different episode this week. This week, we're not going to be doing an interview, but rather just hanging out with a friend of the channel and a content creator that I assume all of you should know by now. Alan, welcome to the show. Welcome back to the show. You're actually our first guest ever to be here more than once.
Yay! That's an honor. It was one of the earliest guests, and now I'm back again.
You are. And I'll give people a little bit of background on kind of why we're doing a different episode. You and I were messaging back and forth, just catching up, getting synchronized the other day. That was a good idea. That's what I forgot. And I stopped us in the middle of the conversation, and I was like, we should just podcast the rest of this conversation because this could be very interesting for folks. And I'll dig back into that, and we can kind of pick up, I guess, where we left off, since I so rudely and abruptly ended that conversation. But first, I do want to ask, you're in the middle of a pretty hefty studio update. So tell me about that. And I mean, congratulations, I guess, on getting around to the refresh.
Yeah, it's a project I started over a year ago now, and I'm finally making some real progress on it, or progress that's seen on camera. Everything else has been like behind the scenes stuff. So big updates happening. My backdrop has totally changed in the studio setup here. I'm really happy with how much cleaner it is at this point. It's just a journey, costing too much money, too much time, the way every project ever runs.
And you seem to have figured out the same thing that I figured out, which is if you don't make videos about it, you just can't justify making the time to do it.
I figured that out a long time ago. If there's not a video about it, it's probably not going to happen.
Right.
And then if there is a video about it, it's going to take 5 times as long as it should. So,
but it's going to get done.
Like a balance. Yeah, it's going to get done. It's a balancing act of like, sure, if it's not a video project, I'll probably get to it, but only to a certain level, like a lower level than I might have otherwise. So,
do you do this thing? I mean, I do. I think you did it on your last video where you're like, I got to get this project done. I can't afford to devote the time to it if it's not a video. So I'll just figure out ways to do the project with 3D printing.
Yeah. I actually did that. I forget what I did. Something. Oh, the Prusa just beeped back there. I was like, what the hell is that beep? Something I was doing recently, days after I finished the project, I stopped and I thought it would have been way more efficient for me to laser cut those parts than to 3D print them. Why did I 3D print them? And it was like, oh, right, because it's just like my default is like I can 3D print that. And then afterward, it was like, it was a fairly flat piece. I could have just laser cut it and then made like one little different piece to go with it from 3D printing it, whatever. Right. Yeah, it just happens.
Same. And I wonder, I mean, I know, but you're on a mission, right? You came from Hot Rod Hippie, which someone mentioned in the chat. So you're on kind of a mission. Now that you've gone so far into 3D printing, you really want to take the channel more in a maker direction, which I assume means more metal work, maybe woodwork. Tell me about that. And then we can talk about how hard it is.
It's so hard to make both the shift and to just keep with it. Cause like I love 3D printing. So every time I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go to maker content more so than 3D. My goal is to be more focused on maker content with 3D printing as like a specialty. Cause everybody in the maker community has their thing. Like Zyla Foxlin is a woodworker at heart. And a lot of people have their different specialties. So I come from a metalworking background. Yes. I don't really want to get back to that too much. My next video is embedding steel into 3D prints again. I'm revisiting a topic I did in a video a month or two ago. So it still exists for me, but 3D printing is the focus.
Right.
And every time I'm like, yeah, I'm going to be making with 3D printing, a new 3D printer comes out or a new 3D printing product comes out that I'm really interested in. And so, or the audience is really interested in, like the high flow hot end for the bamboos from E3D. Like I knew people wanted to see that. So I have to make a video about that. And then it sucks me back into like, now I'm making videos about 3D printers solely again.
And
Um,
you
I'm
specifically,
trying.
you and I really, we want to stop doing reviews. Just
Yeah,
plain reviews.
right.
Um, for you,
Yeah,
it's less about, I think it's more about just they take more time. For me, it's reviews just don't get the views
it's
unless it's a
both of those for
yeah,
me. I mean, they take so much time the way that I do reviews because I'm not a fan of short-term reviews. Like I need hours on a machine before I feel comfortable giving an opinion because I've had a lot of machines where problems don't pop up till 50 hours into use, and
right.
some people don't put 50 hours. Not singling anybody out, whatever. Not
I'm
not
with
trying
you.
to talk crap on anybody,
I
but
literally
like
put that disclaimer into my K1C review that came out yesterday or the day before, where I was literally like, "Look, this printer is phenomenal. It's fantastic." Da da da. I've literally only put 30 or 40 hours on this thing. That is nothing. It's
too
enough time to
totally,
try every material, and that's it.
and that's totally reasonable. We can't
Right.
like I've said it many times. Like if I had an LTT staff where I could assign it to a writer and say, put a couple hundred hours on this machine and come back
Right.
to me,
Right.
that'd be a different story. But
Right.
I don't. It's just me in here. And if I'm spending a couple hundred hours printing on a machine, then I'm not doing anything else.
Right.
So, and
Well,
like you
and by
said,
the
my
time you
highest,
do it, the, I mean, this is Creality we're talking about, but the same could be said of Bamboo Lab. Like, if you put a couple hundred hours on the A1 Mini, the A1 came out by the time that your review would have come out. I mean, that the product cycle is so fast right now, that you
yeah,
just can't.
honestly, probably too fast, but,
Right.
um, but
Especially judging some of the machines, Uh,
yeah, recalls and then refreshes on machines that just came out a couple months ago. And
right.
yeah,
Right. So really what you want to be doing is just project videos.
I just want to be making stuff. Just
Right.
have fun making and showing people what they can do with 3D printing versus worrying about buying the next hot product.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel the same way. But at the same time, I'm stuck because one, you know, I don't call them reviews because as I said, like I like to get my videos out quick. So I call them overviews, It's like here's an overview, here's what I've experienced so far. Um it's easy content, right? It's like people are already interested in the product. It's so much easier than finding that next big project. Have you found though that the project videos are really hit or miss for you?
Very.
Yeah,
Um, they're very hit or miss. It's maddening from a content creator perspective
right,
because the comments are glowing when I make maker content. Like
right,
when I look in the comments, the audience is tuning in. The audience that is tuning in
right,
is, we love this. This is awesome. I want to see more of this.
right,
But it only gets 10,000 views where the bamboo video is at, climbing to 100,000 views
right.
2 weeks on. And it's like, you want to see this and I want to make this, but YouTube's not pushing it or it's not hot topic at the moment. So
Right. So then you
it's
play that
partially, I
game,
think,
right? Of like, am I going to do what I want to do or am I going to do what's going to pay the bills?
right. And that's where I fell into last year. Well, like I said this, I know I said it on the first podcast. It was on with you. I want to say that was a year ago at this point, where
Yeah.
I'm making the shift to maker content, and that was my goal for 2023. And it really didn't happen because I kept falling back on, well, this pays the bills.
Yeah.
And 2024 is starting off meek because I'm trying not to fall back into that.
Right.
Because I think part of the problem is I need to make the shift more intentional and um, stick to my guns, and find the audience.
Right.
My core audience that exists right now, as far as I am aware, seems to like the shift and like the change.
Yeah.
And the other folks will come in time because you see these maker channels, Colin Furs, Jimmy
Jesus.
DiResta, whatever. They've got millions of subscribers. Now, I
They're
don't
they're
necessarily want to be them,
yeah. They're
but
kind of
like,
like average medium performer is bigger than the biggest channels in our niche, which is hardcore 3D printing. Um,
exactly. And that's, that I like from a business standpoint, that is part of my concept of why I want to
right.
shift is I see Maker's Muse, I think, is the top 3D printing YouTuber that I'm aware of
Right. And
at
even
a little
he
over 1 million
does a
subscribers.
lot of robotics.
And he
And then
does a
if you
lot of other stuff, right.
yeah, and if you think
And
about like channels that I love the way you put it, maker channels that also do 3D printing. Like I just had Bob from I Like to Make Stuff on here. I don't know how many millions he has, but he's in the multiple millions. Look at like DIY perks. There isn't a week that goes by that he doesn't 3D print something. But I mean, and we could talk about like his production value is off the charts, right? He's like making mini
yeah,
documentaries of how I make how it's made kind of thing. But he's in the double digit millions. So I do wonder though if we're like too far gone, right? That our subscribers and our audience are so dialed in on like the hardcore 3D printing, the latest update from E3D, the latest update from, that we're at kind of a local maxima of 3D printing content. And if we don't double down
mhm,
on that or do very, very slow transition into,
yeah,
this week I'm going to try welding and next week I'm going to do an, I don't know. I think about it a lot.
yeah. And it's not to say like you can do 3D printing. Like, look at
Yeah.
Joel, 3D
Yeah.
printing nerd. Like, he's also one of the biggest 3D printing channels,
Right.
and he just does printing. I mean, he talks
Right.
about all aspects of printing
Right.
and maybe doesn't go into the tech level that some of us do, but there's clearly an audience for that stuff. I've just felt like I was pigeonholing myself
Yeah.
um, into it too much. And also, I cannot help but get tech heavy. If I start talking about 3D printing, I'm going to start spewing specs and names and principles and like core
Sure.
concepts. And especially because I don't script videos, I just talk to a camera and it's flow of
You don't?
consciousness.
I didn't
No, I
know
don't
that.
script. Everything is flow of consciousness.
You must
And
do so much editing because I was literally just going to compliment you that you are a master at storytelling. So that's all on the editing room floor.
for the most part, it's partly the way that I make videos. I've adapted to my production style over time.
Okay.
Because I used to do a project and then sit down and discuss the project or like
Yeah, yeah. That's what I
piecemeal
do.
through as I was making something. Now the way that I make videos is I film, edit, film, edit, film, edit the
Okay.
entire time.
So
Editing
once
process
you're
starts
already editing, you go back, turn the camera back on and act as
like
if you're in the
sit down,
moment. Yeah, okay.
I'll film the introduction of a video and I will edit the introduction of the video and I won't move on until that's
Got it.
done and dialed in.
Yeah,
And then I move on. And it saves me a ton of crap footage that's never going to be any use to anybody
right.
because of just rambling on. Like I've gotten pretty good about cutting myself off. I'm rambling too much, cut it off. If nowadays if I see the timer on my camera getting over like 5 minutes on a clip, I've gone too long.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I've veered off.
That's
Um
very interesting and totally different obviously to how I work because I hand it off to someone, so it could never work for
yeah.
me. Albert says, by the way, it'll be a very hard transition if you have printing in your channel name, which he does.
He does. He also makes great videos. Yeah,
Right.
just every couple months he drops a bomb and then moves on.
Right. Right.
I mean bomb in a good way.
Yeah, like a bombshell.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
I think about this all the time too, right? With like personally, I'm at kind of a place where I've run out of the low-hanging fruit projects. Like the things that I really want to get done that I need to do. So it's either find a different form of content. Like for a while when I was out of the country because of the war, I was doing just educational content, right? Like here are the 5 filaments you need to know, and I like doing that stuff. Or go for the bigger projects, the Cullen Furs bunkers, the like reorganizing entire house situation, all the low-hanging Gridfinity stuff, that's all been picked.
And you know what? It's a lot more work, but bigger is better on YouTube. Like the
Yep.
big stuff sells. And
Right.
believe me, I've written a few pitch emails this year already that are let's go big.
Yeah.
And
Which
so yeah.
actually reminds me to I wanted to say, like, from my experience, the trick is, right, because you talked about this kind of balance between what I want to build and paying the bills.
Yeah.
And my experience is just figuring out ways to integrate sponsors. As terrible as that sounds, but like you did a really, really good job with your last video where it was like, hey, this camera company sponsored my build. You found a way, and I try to do that constantly, especially now that I just signed with a representation agency. So I'll just tell them like, hey, I want to do this and this and this project. And here are all the different things I need. And if you can find a way that one of those companies will either or and send the product and finance the video, then you get to a point where you can build a bunker, for example, which has nothing to do with 3D printing. But if you can get, Anchor Solix to sponsor the solar panels to power it. And that's just been
Yeah.
my strategy.
Yeah. I've been lucky so far that it's kind of just worked where I've had a couple companies approach. Jonathan and I have talked about this numerous times, the business side of things. I am terrible about getting sponsors. Most of them fall into my lap. They reach out to me
Right.
and hey, we've got this thing we'd like you to show off. What would that, whatever. And so same thing with that OBSBot camera. I was like, hey,
Right.
I've had this project on this desk project that I did with that integration that was on my list for a year.
Yeah.
And it finally happened. And part of it, I had the parts for it for 6 months and I
Mm.
just couldn't justify the time for it. And then they reached out and were like, hey, we want to sponsor a video with this. And I'm like, oh, I've got the perfect video to integrate that with. So part of it is we have a list. Like I use Notion. I know
Yep.
I've showed Jonathan before, like a database software that my wife, Ruby, is a big nerd in. And we organize a lot of my content creation through that. And I've got a whole idea page that all it is just throw it at the wall ideas, just nonsense. This week's video coming out this Saturday will be overhauling my shipping station. I'm trying to come up with a way to frickin' to title that's not boring,
I didn't know
but
you shipped. What do you ship?
well, I have from my Hot Rod Hippie days, I actually have a product line.
Hey.
I still sell car parts
Okay.
that I designed and created.
Okay.
It's this dumb little bracket for hardline plumbing your airlines and fuel lines on your custom cars.
Got it.
Nobody made them. I designed it, came up with it, considered patenting it, and cost too darn much. Whatever.
Yeah.
But I still sell them, and like I don't market them; they're just on my website, and I still sell a couple brackets a week. Like they just
Amazing.
roll and sustain
They're 3D
themselves.
printed?
No, they're aluminum laser cut and CNC press brake bent.
Interesting.
I have them manufactured for me at this point. Originally,
Cool.
I made them, but it was too time intensive, and I can do it a much better price having them manufactured here in the U.S. But for me, I just have to buy them
Interesting.
in 100 at a
Yeah, I
time,
don't know how
whatever.
your audience is, but my audience will respond well to anything that's like 3D printed organization. So instead of making
Yeah,
it like shipping station, like 3D printed organizers for my workstation, which happens to be shipping work.
yeah. Well, I'm like I said, I'm like the shipping station is a desk and like an IKEA drawer unit,
Yeah.
and I designed a riser that goes up on the desk that
Mhm.
mounts the computer that's there up off the desk, and it's got 3D printed with steel embedded in the 3D prints
Very
brackets to
cool.
hold that all together. Like there's a ton of 3D printing in the project.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just conveying that because there's
Yeah.
also like the IKEA thing. I I IKEA hacked it. I took an existing IKEA cabinet and I put doors on it that it wasn't supposed to have, and I
Sure.
cut a hole in the side of it and put one of our cat litter boxes inside of it and 3D printed a bunch of parts that go with that. And so it's like I think it's interesting stuff, and I think like people love IKEA hacking. You take the
Totally.
$200 thing and you make it into something fancier or interesting.
I love that
But
stuff.
that's one of the hard parts of this is like how do I convey all of that is packed into this one video in a title
Right.
and a thumbnail?
Thumbnail and title ideas always come to me like first off, I don't start a video or accept a printer unless I already know what the title thumbnail is going to be. Unless the printer blows me away, but like the K1C Creality's do-over, like
Mm.
that I had that title thumbnail. I wouldn't accept the printer till that came to me, and then I was like, "Oh, this could be a cool video." and then I just needed to make sure that in fact my suspicion was true. But I want to change gears real quick because I realized that there was something I wanted to, and of course the banker I've been trying to reach for 2 days has now decided to call me at this exact moment. But I do want to change gear on the topic of organization and talk about, you and I are both in like a, let's call it spring cleaning. I think we're both on the tail end, but of just getting rid of printers. And that was originally
Yep.
what we were talking about, where I was like, I think people would be really interested to hear what we keep after the reviews or after the paid content or whatever, and what we sell. So looking at your background, you've cleaned house. Tell me about that, and then I'll tell you about everything I got rid of.
Yeah, I've been cleaning house lately. Part of my goal for 2024 was to not have branded printers as part of the backdrop.
Yep.
My goal is to have open source machines in there. Not as a slight to any one company or anything, but just that you watch like Evan and Caitlin, maker creators. They'll often like, a lot of these creators will tape over the logo on their camera when it's going to be on camera, because like Canon's not paying for that product placement.
It's fair.
Same concept of, I always had my Bamboo X1 in the background of my videos. They never paid me a dime. They sent me 2 printers,
Yeah,
and some filament. That's it. And I have nothing against them, but
right.
like, why was I giving them free product placement in every single video I produced?
That's a really good point. Like I think
Like,
I still am at the point where I feel indebted a little bit if someone sends me a free printer. But at the same time, I can feel indebted and repay that, and I try to maintain relationships with all these companies. I can repay that by using the product, and there's gonna be B-roll of me using the product. It doesn't need to be in the back of my A-roll constantly.
right. I
There's
mean,
a
you look
big
at somebody
difference
like
there.
Joel, 3D printing nerd. His
Yep.
backdrop doesn't have printers in it.
Right.
He's not constantly pushing something,
Right.
whatever. Like, I same thing. I still feel indebted every time a printer shows up, and I
Yep.
kind of hate it for that fact, where I'm like, I got to do something with that. The Ender 3v3 is right to my right here right now, and
Yeah.
I keep like, uh uh like it's in the back of my mind where I'm just like, I need to unbox that. I need to do something with that. I personally don't know that I care about the machine much. I
Yep.
haven't used it yet. I don't know. I might be more interested in it than I think I am. But it's here. I need to mess
Yep.
with it.
Yeah.
But I love printers. I want to keep printing. I can't keep every machine. I've got too
Yeah.
many of them and not enough space.
Right.
And like, especially this new backdrop, it's so, once I saw how much cleaner it was to not have 6 machines behind me,
Yeah.
I'm like, ugh, okay, well, now there's only a maximum of 4 machines behind me,
Right.
and something's got to make the cut. Like, I just saw somebody in the chat mention my Cheedy X Max 3. I really liked the Cheedy X Max 3. I did a
Me too.
sponsored paid video about that machine, but I legitimately liked the machine. And I struggled with considering selling that.
Yeah.
The only way I justified it was, I'm going to build a Voron 2.4 with chamber heating, so I'll get
Oh,
the
yeah.
functionality back that machine had in another machine.
And it won't take up
And
as much space. That thing was a tank. The
yeah,
space to build volume ratio. I love that printer too, by the way. I got rid of mine because it fell apart
yeah,
after frying the motherboard. But the space to build volume ratio was not good. Not as good as a 2.4.
no, no, it's definitely a lot of wasted space on that. Just big plastic panels, and like,
Right.
the only thing I really hated about that machine was not being able to see the first layer for crap. Like,
Same.
just such a big chin bar top of the
Same.
forehead. Most of the machines I give away are good machines.
Yeah.
I sell some. I saw somebody. I sell some. Like,
I sell them
if
too.
it was,
And I don't feel bad
if
about it.
it was a. I know some people will, like, we go back and forth, creator circles about this, like selling machines versus giving them away. Because, it could be viewed as compensation when you're selling a machine. I try to only sell machines that I was provided for sponsored content personally.
Why?
Because then I was already paid to use this product, so there's no lines to blur there. I was paid already. Um,
What's the ethical issue if you were given it for free and you sell it? I'm just playing devil's
I
advocate.
don't know that I prescribe to this theory, but I know plenty of people have told me that they view that as then you're going to be making monetary compensation on the product. So they view it from that respect.
But
I don't
again,
think
devil's advocate, but the monetary, I've never encountered someone who has this. I mean, we chatted about this, you, myself, and Jerry. Like, to
Mhm.
me, the monetary compensation is in no way correlated to whether my review is positive or negative. I guess you could say I'm incentivized to give it a good review, so I'll be able to sell it on Facebook Marketplace. But let's be real,
Yeah.
the chances
I
of
mean,
someone on,
I
yeah, go
sold the
ahead.
Cheedy X Max and the Creality K1
K1, same,
to the same person, and
same.
I sold them both for like $500 to the person.
Yeah.
Like they got a screaming deal on the
Oh,
machines.
so that's my thing, right? I don't want to deal with it. I literally want the space and I don't want the hassle. So my new thing, and I've kind of gone overboard because I now miss a couple of the printers that like I needed that ComGrow T500, but I had a pre-production unit which had some issues, wiring issues. They changed the whole wiring harness after I got it. So I just was constantly fixing it. Anyway, my thing is if it gives me any issues and it's not a Voron because I love my Vorons, IKEA effect in full effect, I just get rid of it and I sell it on the locals. I have a locals channel on my Discord. I post it there and it's usually like 20% of the new price. I mean, it's
Yeah.
like screaming deals, just like, give me $100 for this. I just sold the Apex Maker X1 for like, it's a $1,500 printer. I think I sold it for like $250 or $300.
I mean, what it comes down to is it's the side of things that people never fully grasp,
Right.
and it's where we sound the worst. I know this, but free machines become a burden at a
Yeah.
point.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I am literally tripping over machines
Right.
sometimes, and I only have so much space, and I have to
Right.
move them around, especially when they're big, heavy ones. Find
And
a
some of
place to
them are
shove them in
crap.
a corner.
Everyone wants a free 3D printer, but you want to pick the one. You don't want the oopsie that this company put out, which is actually they ended up doing a recall on or whatever. I'm not picking on a specific company, but like some of them are
Yeah,
garbage and unusable.
I mean,
Or, and this has happened to me with a lot of printers recently, we get them before they're perfected. So the hardware is not quite there yet, or half the functions don't work of their cloud solution. So you just get like, here's hardware that one day may work. If you wait 6 months till the product actually comes out, who knows? I usually sell it before that happens.
yeah. Like I had two GDX Maxes. I had the original one before Clow.
Yeah,
I never know how to pronounce
exactly.
his. Found the problems with it, and I basically gave that one away to somebody with the understanding,
Yeah.
hey, this thing has issues. You are going to be working on this thing to get it going.
Yeah.
But that there's a point. I had two GDX Maxes at one point in here. They're big machines. They're annoying.
Yeah.
Like I like them, but they're big and they take up a lot of space. Um, Something clicked in my the Magneto X. I have the Pio Poly Magneto X right now.
Oh, I'm
I've had
jealous.
it for a couple months, and mine is a beta unit. I was sent it to test and say,
Right.
hey, what's wrong with this thing? Like, we want to get these in people's hands. What's up with it? So, like, I've put hours of time into swapping parts on that machine,
Right.
um, because we're like, hey, this issue, like mine had a CAN issue. It's got a CAN toolboard and it was having a connectivity issue. So I had to replace the entire CAN cable through the entire cable chain down
Right.
to the hub and the hub replacement and like hours of labor on that machine to update to what the people who are going to get the finished product are going to get.
Right.
So
You enjoy working
that's
on
nothing
machines. I think
against them. Like,
most, and also you agreed to beta test. You
yeah,
think you'll
absolutely.
keep it?
I accepted that. But
Do you plan to keep it? Do you think it's a keeper?
I think the machine has a ton of potential.
Uh huh.
Um, and I am absolutely going to keep it through seeing that potential through.
Okay.
So Will it stick around long term? No idea at this point. It's got a happy little home in the studio at the moment, so it's not in the way.
Cool.
And I really want to see what it matures into. So it's probably going to stick around for a while.
Yeah. To me, like that's the ultimate question, right? I can love a printer and it can be great, but if I don't keep it, it means that it's because ultimately, right? Like we get the majority of the printers that are coming out. Like there's only so many companies, and if I keep something, it generally means it can do something better, faster, cheaper, or something that other printers can't do. It's very rare that I keep a printer that just is the same as every other printer. Like you said, right? I don't need the Cheaty if I'm going to build a Voron that can do the same thing.
Right.
So that to me is the ultimate, like, if it's a keeper, that means that there's something special enough about the machine. I rarely keep one because, oh, they might sponsor more content in the future. I might need B-roll.
Yeah.
It's not. Speaking of sponsored content, though, I do need to take a quick moment and thank our wonderful PCBWay. Every week it mutes my mic. I don't know why. For those of you who don't know, PCBWay is your one-stop shop for all the things. They don't just do PCBs. They do CNC machining, injection molding. They can do metal 3D printing. They can do industrial grade MJF nylon. They can do SLA, DLP. They really do everything. And if you need some 3D printed metal, or even if you just need injection molded parts, they can do all the things for you. Sheet metal fabrication as well. I have some upcoming projects where I'm going to need some CNC'd stuff, and I gave away my CNC, so I'm going to have PCBWay make those parts. I actually recently toured a 3D printer manufacturer here, and I saw PCBWay boxes on their desk. I was like, what? He's like, yeah, man, it's cheaper to just have PCBWay do it, and it's faster than hiring local. I was like, wow, that's does not speak well to the Israeli manufacturing sector. But thank you, PCBWay. Anyway, so any other printers you want to chat about that you're excited about that you've gotten rid of recently?
Nothing I can talk about at the moment that I'm aware of.
Okay, I'll share one. So I missed the T500 because really it's kind of like once you get used to the fact that you can print 500 by 500 by 500, you start printing, like you walk around the world, you're like, oh, that massive standing planter, I could print that. So I'm trying to get, the product's already been announced, so they haven't promised, but we're trying logistically and also space-wise to figure out if I can get the Orange Storm Giga, which I am so excited about.
I never even allow myself to entertain the concept. There's not enough space in my studio for that.
So here was my breakthrough. I told Uncle Jesse about this on the podcast episode. I'm just gonna lay tabletops over the top of it and turn it into a workbench and replace my existing workbench with a 3D printer because it stands like 80 centimeters high or 85 maybe.
I
It
want to
might
say
be
it's
a
closer
meter
to a
high.
meter,
Even
but
if it's a meter high,
yeah.
my current standing workbench is a meter high. I can make this work.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm trying to get a bigger machine in here.
Yeah.
Like I said, I want to do bigger projects this year, so I can say that. I'm trying to get a bigger machine. The biggest I have is the Neptune 4 Max, and I had the Neptune 3 Max. I just got rid of that.
Yeah.
Not because I didn't another one that not because I didn't like it, but just, I had two of them basically, so one had to go.
Yeah.
And I want to give the 4 Max a little more time to mature before I get rid of it.
Right.
And that's another one where like I haven't really done much content with the Neptune 4 Max, but they sent it to me, so I feel obligated to like do some more with it before I get rid of it.
Yeah.
But I'm honestly tired of bed slingers at that size.
Yep.
I'm so sick of these companies keep coming out with these like the Comgro T500. Like
Right.
I was offered that, I didn't accept it because I'm just like such a
It's
big
so
machine,
big.
so much space, and bed slingers. It's not just the footprint that a bed slinger takes up; it's the
That was the
space that the
problem.
bed needs to sling back and forth,
That was the
which will
problem.
take up more space than a bigger Core XY would or whatever.
Yeah,
Like,
it was like 1.5 meters by
yeah,
70 centimeters. That's like, I mean, that's a lot of space in a workshop. I think I'm
I
allowed to
will.
say this, but
Mm.
maybe I just won't name the company, just in case I'm not allowed to say. Somebody has decided to scale up the Voron 2.4 to a 600 by 600 print volume.
Okay,
I realize that Max
that'll
is
be
very
interesting.
much against this, but they claim that they've got it rigid enough. So that might be an interesting option as well.
I mean, it's doable. I'm sure it's doable.
Right.
So there are. I mean, RatRig has 500 cubed machines and have for years.
Yeah.
Um,
Have you ever built a rat
so
rig? Do you have any of them?
I have not. I'm really wanting to this year.
Yeah, me
We
too.
shall see.
I saw they
Um,
put up a video today or yesterday, and you and I were the top 2 comments of like, "Hey, glad to see you guys
hey,
making content. Let us know if we can help in any way."
yes, I will say that has not gone unnoticed on my end. So,
Cool.
um, I do want to not to interrupt
Yeah,
and
yeah,
take
please.
over your podcast for a second. I saw in the comments people asking about events we'll be attending.
Yes.
You said Smurf. I'm really trying to get to Smurf again this year. I'm also trying to get to Rocky Mountain Rep Rap Festival this year and Earth or 3D Printopia.
Yeah.
Uh, Rocky Mountain Rep Rap Festival. I need sponsors. So,
Yep.
yeah, that's the only thing
Shout
holding
out.
me up on that. So,
Yeah, yeah.
but um,
Any inroads on Voron Phoenix? Someone asks, because I know everyone's gonna make a kit. I assume everyone's gonna make a kit, but I don't know who's gonna be the first one to crack it.
LDO will be the first to crack it because they were already the ones who were working with Max on the prototypes. So
Ah, that I didn't know, but it doesn't surprise
yeah,
me.
yeah, no, the most of the parts for the Phoenix came from LDO for the
Mm,
prototype units that are out there, which there are only a handful
okay.
of. Again, the problem with the Phoenix, I'd love to build one. It's too big.
Yeah, where are you
Like
gonna
I
put it?
think 500 is probably about as big as I'm going to go in this studio.
Right.
Um, Pushing over that, it just gets to be too big for my space currently.
You
And
ever
that's
think
that's
you'll
one of those
upgrade the
things that
space?
and then I have to look at upgrading the space, which increases my overhead significantly. So,
Right.
um, and that's one of those where like people don't. I worry about that side of things at a point. Like the Orange Storm Giga sold plenty of machines,
Yeah.
way more than I expected to on the Kickstarter. But like where I truly wonder how many people ordered that machine have the space for that machine.
It's
Um,
a question.
And I really foresee we're gonna have, like, a lot of people in the Elegoo Facebook group, like, "I can't get my prints to adhere," and they're printing in, like, a 15 degrees Celsius garage, you know?
That's what I
Like,
think.
well, yeah, all your parts are curling off the bed because 'cause you're not in an unheated space or whatever, you know? Like,
Whenever I think about this, and I'm working on a video right now where I'm like, I want to do something. I'm doing a project and I want people to be able to replicate it. And one of my criteria is it needs to be small enough when I get it done for people to be able to house it in their home. And I had to put the criteria of like, I just assume when I think of America that everyone has a 2-car garage with some space, on the perimeter and or a basement, And I think that's the audience. It's not going in a 2-car garage, but I think it's the basement audience.
totally the basement audience. The problem is, like, moving it or, like,
Right.
most people are renters nowadays. Maybe you got a
Right.
basement, but you're gonna build it in your basement, and then you're gonna take it apart to get it out of your basement.
Right.
Because like the Phoenix, the Armstrong Giga, they will not fit through even a commercial doorway.
Correct.
You need a garage door or a French door, like, to get it through.
Oh, don't get me wrong.
Um,
I made sure to negotiate my lease for another year before I accepted or told them that we could maybe look into the logistics of it.
yeah, like
Uh,
I have my studio is a 2-car garage effectively. I've
yeah.
got the door space. I have the space to fit it,
Right.
but it'll take up more space than than I can justify for said machine.
Yeah.
And then giving it away, selling it afterward, I gotta find somebody who can even bother to get rid of it. 500 millimeter cubed is bigger than a washing machine, somebody
Right.
said. Yeah, I mean, it is.
Right. So you've got
Um,
some builds coming up, though. I don't know if you want to talk about those, but you have some builds that you're pretty excited about now that you have some cleared out space.
yeah, now that I made some space, getting rid of some machines, I've got at least 2 builds coming up that I can talk about. an LDO, both LDO kits, LDO Trident 300 millimeter cubed, and a LDO a 4.2, a
2.4.
2.4.
Yeah.
Both like hot rod builds, like
Yeah.
balls to the wall, go all out, in different ways. So like I keep running into this problem lately where almost the only machine I use these days is my Voron 2.4. The
Really?
one Voron 2.4. My Bamboo X1 still gets plenty of use, but my Voron is quickly replacing it for my day-to-day work.
Interesting. Why?
And then like this project I'm working on this week, like these brackets for the desk build are like 13 hours per print. Well, that means I've got an entire day taken up just by 2 of these.
Right.
And that delays my production by a day. So like
Hmm.
a second Voron would allow me to at least cut that in half.
Got it.
Um,
So it literally is you're at capacity for projects that
yeah,
you
I'm
need.
literally at capacity. I keep running it. I keep bumping my head against this point where like the machines I have that are capable of doing what I need to do, I keep being like, okay, I'm waiting on a machine to finish up printing so I can move forward with this project. So my I'm building the Ultimate 2.4 build has been on the books for a while now, and
Okay.
it's gonna have the, you know, Big Tree Tech Kraken main board,
Oof.
water cooled stepper motors, heated build chamber. It's got the full Bondtech uh, MJF printed stealth burner
Wow.
housing with CPAP cooling and the Mosquito Magnum plus hot end in it.
Whoa.
CNC pretty much everything except for the tool head. Um, and that's going to be about printing higher temperature materials quickly.
Right.
Then the Trident build, I'm just calling it, I don't have a good name for it at the moment. It's just the hot rod Trident at this point, but
Okay.
that's getting 9mm belts, CNC components, LDO superpower motors, the LDO Leviathan main board,
Wow.
Voron 2.4 on an LTT budget. Yes. My
Yeah.
goal for the Ultimate 2.4 was don't hold back.
Yeah.
Everything, just like, you know, it's got Mandala Roseworks kinematic bed mounts on it, which why? Because they're CNC and they're bling. Like, so it's gonna be insulated, Doom Cube corners, like the
Whoa.
goal of being uh of just going all out and seeing originally and still somewhat the point is like, is it worth it to go all out? Because like it's
Right.
gonna be like I think that's like a $4,000 to $5,000 machine probably, all said and done.
Wow.
I might be overestimating that a little bit, but it's definitely like double what this Voron costs to build. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Um, and is it going to be double the machine that this will be? We'll
I'm
find out.
curious about all of this because do these build videos perform well enough for you, or is this you just need them and so you're gonna turn? Okay. Yeah.
Well, no, but yes. Like, I say no, but like my Mercury One video, turning my Ender 5 Plus into a Core XY machine,
Right.
and when I finished my 2.4, I did a video about putting the can setup on it, and that was a build video, finishing that build too. Those are two of my better performing videos of the last year.
Huh.
So they can absolutely perform pretty well video wise. I don't have much intention of doing build videos on those builds.
Really?
Um,
Live streams then.
this, hmm?
Live streams then.
I, live streams. I'm
Yeah.
definitely gonna be doing live streams of the build process and maybe overviews when they're all said and done. Not so much build videos, but like, here's the finished product and was it worth it? Like,
Yeah.
you know, to go all out or whatever.
Right. Because you
Um,
just split. I mean, didn't split your channel, but you started a whole new channel just for live streaming. Talk me through that.
what's the RGB budget for it? It's
Yeah.
just it exists. We'll say that. Um, yeah, so I've created the Mandic Labs channel now because I really felt that as I was moving toward the maker content, I was getting the brand really confused with
Okay.
like 3D printing video, maker video, 3D printing. Like it was just crossing wires too much. Um, and so I wanted a place to do more live streaming, an excuse to do more live streaming. I felt like I know Jonathan and I have discussed this concept of like splitting the audience doesn't necessarily make sense in some ways. Like I've got 42,000 subscribers right now. That's 42,000 people that when I hit go live are getting notified potentially
Right.
that I'm live. I'm starting from scratch with Mandic Labs. It's not even monetized yet. It's less. I think it's less than 800 subscribers right now. And does that make sense? I don't know. My thought process was mostly the future. As I try to do more maker content, part of the goal with the maker content is to appeal to people who aren't 3D printing people at heart.
Mm-hmm.
I want to introduce 3D printing to people who don't know much about it. So like people who all they know is 3D printers exist, or they think of like, oh, you can print toys.
Right.
With the making content, I do want to show those folks that no, we can do fun, silly, big things. We can do functional stuff too, and really expose them to the whole concept. But for them, it really felt like if that was my goal, to make 3D printing a little more approachable and making things more widely interesting to people, those people would probably, if they go to my channel and they see, oh, he made this really fun giant toadstool stool,
Okay.
like from Alice in Wonderland. That's a project that's on the ideas list.
Cool.
That was fun. My kids enjoyed that video or whatever. And they go check my channel, and the last video I did was, here's the in-depth scientific technical data on carbon filtration for your 3D printer.
Yeah.
Like, it was gonna get like, why would they subscribe to that?
Right.
It would get confusing for those types of people. Same thing with the builds on live streams. Like, oh,
Right.
that guy who makes those fun projects is live. Let's go see what he's doing. Oh, he's
Oh.
slowly building a 3D printer and talking about the technical aspects of it. Like, it felt like it was
I
going to create
see.
more brand confusion as things go forward.
So let me see if I understand this correctly then. MandicReally is going to go more general audience, broad interest, and Mandic Labs allows you to maintain the niche stuff.
Yes.
Got it.
And in ways that I didn't anticipate already, like, it was I only created it to be the live stream channel. Like Daniel,
Sure.
Modbot has Modbot, and he has Modbot Army.
Modbot Army. Yeah.
That's his builds channel and his main channel. And I was just copying that concept.
Sure.
But I've already done a couple. I haven't made enough time for it yet, of course, because I've been busy revamping the studio. I've done one live stream so far, and I've put 2 videos up on there already. I didn't
Okay.
intend to put any videos up on there, but I've already put 2 there.
Right.
The only live unboxing I did so far was the A1 when it showed up. And the videos I've done was a supplement to my Bamboo X1 Ultimate Bamboo X1 build, where I literally because I got my Bamboo X1 printing a 9-minute something second benchy.
Yeah.
Sub 10-minute benchy with all the upgrades that I've done to it. And I literally put the full 9+ minutes, because people do that with it. And they put their speedboat benchy up so you can prove that you did it. I put the full thing up on there so like people can see that. And then unboxing the Prusa Mark IV. The Prusa Mark IV, Prusa Research just sent that over to me. Thank you very much to them. And I was like, I'm just going to I really wanted to just make a TikTok video of unboxing it, because TikTok is now doing horizontal content. So I was like, let's make a TikTok. And then after I posted it to TikTok, I was like, well, I might as well post it on YouTube too. But it, again, felt like it would have fit the MandicReally channel today, but it wouldn't fit the MandicReally channel where I want it to go.
I see.
So
one
and
model
I also
that
made it
I
so
like. So I'm very much in the like, I'm investing so much into building this channel. Why would I split? Like, why do I want to fight a war on 2 fronts? But one model that I like, that if I were going to start another channel, I would do, is the Colin Furs model, right? So like when you have these super polished videos that probably take weeks to edit, right? Taking like 100 hours, 200, 300, 400 hours of footage and condensing it into 20 minutes is super hard. So he has too much Colin Furs, which literally is like, if you want completely unedited bullshit filmed on a GoPro of what I'm doing, that goes there. And I would do that because I don't put anything on my YouTube Shorts a little bit, but I try not to put anything up on my main channel, my only channel, that isn't fucking good content. You know?
That's absolutely part of it too.
Yeah.
Like that Prusa Mark IV unboxing video was my version of that.
Right.
I was like, oh yeah, I'll dump vloggy type content where I just like, hey, I literally, that was, the Prusa Mark IV was, I had it sitting here in the box. I wanted to do a live unboxing on Mandic Labs. But like I said, I hit this wall with this project where I needed more printers.
Yeah.
I was like, I've got an assembled Mark IV in the box. What am I doing?
Right.
So I just unboxed it real quick. It took me 20 minutes from unboxing to get the machine printing. And it
Sure.
took me less than 3 hours to produce an entire video around that I felt fine putting out there.
Yeah.
And, you know, a typical MandicReally video is 40 to 60 hours.
Total
So
with filming, not editing.
total.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that means you're pretty efficient.
Yeah. That's
Um,
average. Some are less, some are quite more. So,
No, wait. I want to come back to something though that you said, because on the one hand, we just talked about we have so many freaking printers, we have to give them away. On the other hand, you said, basically all the work is falling on my Voron 2.4. So what is it about? Is it because you're doing more composites? You're doing high temp materials? You're just doing big prints these days? Like, why is your X1 carbon not splitting the load?
Size is one factor.
Size does
My
matter.
2.4 is a 300 by 300.
Yeah.
So I can, even if the parts are small, I can fill the bed with parts that I
Right.
couldn't fit on the X1.
And then you can walk away and do your real work, which is video. Yeah, I'm the same way.
Exactly. It's also quiet enough that I can have it running while I'm filming. And
How?
the
Because mine
minorest
sounds
amount
like
of
a
noise.
jet engine when it's just idling. Like,
I've got Noctua fans in the cooling for it,
on
so
the
that helps.
bottom, the two fans
Yeah.
on the bottom. I should do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't be anywhere near the printer while it's printing.
Yeah, I mean, if you have the Octopus board, you can just change a couple jumpers and you can run 12-volt fans. So,
Remind me, I need maybe your help with my Voron 2.4. It's completely, I blew something.
it's easy. I can point you to what you got to do.
Yeah.
So like I can run that machine. I run like 5% noise reduction through Adobe Audition when I'm editing the video, and the noise is canceled out.
Yeah.
Um,
Not that way with the Bamboo Lab printer. Even with the motor noise cancellation, it's still loud.
It's better with the motor noise cancellation now.
Right.
I could still run that machine and it would be fine. I don't know. I like the Bamboo X1. I've got 2,000 hours on the machine.
Wow.
But at the end of the day, I just don't love it. Like you said earlier, the IKEA effect. And also, I'm a custom car builder. I built the thing, you know?
Yeah.
It is what it is because I made it what it is.
Precisely.
Um,
My 2.4
I'm always
is my
going to have a
favorite
bit of a
printer,
passion.
hands down. The other thing is, and I'm not, people are gonna accuse me of like going off on Bamboo because I don't have a relationship with them. It's not about that. I would say this even if I did have a relationship with them. It's not just the AMS, but the thing that's beautiful about a Voron or any custom printer is you can just get it out of your way. Like, filament sensor isn't detecting nicely on this funky filament that I'm using, disable it. The print isn't sticking, but I've done a workaround and I'm okay with the amount of spaghetti that's like, I can just do what I want. And I feel like
Mhm.
I wouldn't do this because I'm trying not to like get into trouble with companies, but I wanted to do this like meme of like what people think printing with a Bamboo is like, and it's like, the beautiful time lapse of the print coming out, and then what it's actually like. No, I don't want to oil the motors. No, I don't want to clean the carbon rods. No, it doesn't matter that micro lidar can't detect the build plate. No, I'm not going to clean. Like, it's a lot of it's a very, very smart machine, but if you just want to neglect it and freaking print because you have a deadline, it's high upkeep. It's probably higher upkeep than my wife.
That's absolutely a factor to it of
Right.
Like that's absolutely a point
Right.
to this too of it always annoys me. I send a print to the X1 and it's got like 10 minutes of preamble before it starts to print.
Right.
And
Right.
yeah, my bamboo's got to do a 4-corner, or my Voron's got to do the quad gantry level, and I have it level, but I also have it set up on camp, so it only levels the spot where it needs
Right.
to. And
Right.
those things where I just can't tweak those things in the bamboo,
And you're
just
not getting any of these like filament failed to feed outside of AMS, or AMS motor
yeah,
is overloaded. Now I will say, like, I can't blame Bamboo for that because I upgraded to the Hydra, and I think
yeah,
that's where my problem started. But it's also, oh, this filament's on a cardboard spool. Oh, this roll is, very, very low. It's only got a few meters left. That's not going to work. It's a lot of finicking. It's the best
yeah,
performing
absolutely.
printer. Let me just be clear about that. The X1 Carbon is the best performing printer I have, at least. But it's
Yeah,
finicky.
I've honestly, at this point too, and it's the amount of time I put into it, I've got my 2.4 printing better than my X1.
Really.
Um, yeah, like I
And
get
as
better
fast, because
quality.
mine, the size of mine, right, is a 350. I don't think it's ever going to be as fast as a Bamboo.
It's not as fast.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
My Voron will print better than my X1, but if I need a print done ASAP, it goes to the
Right.
X1 right now.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
part of the whole building the other two Vorons that are coming
Yeah.
is they should be faster. They will be
I was going to
faster.
ask you why, if you need size, why not build 350s? But I think it's because of that.
It's a speed limitation. In fact, I
Yeah.
wanted the Trident to be a 250. I didn't want it to be a 300. I wanted it to be a 250 because I wanted that to be my like rapid prototype machine. That's the machine that I send things to when they're just like got to be done right now. And then we're at the mercy of companies. Hey, Jason, can you send me a Trident kit? I want the 250. Sure, it shows up. It's a 300. Oh
Yeah.
no, I'm gonna look a gift horse in the mouth here.
Right.
So
Actually, I want to ask your advice. This is probably not going to be interesting for anyone, but my 2.4 LDO kit is no longer delivering what's it called? 24-volt to the hot end. I think it's the wire loom. Like, I tested, I'm getting 24 out on the breakout board, and I'm considering, like, rather than, if I have to snake that whole wire out, maybe I go to CANBUS, and I have the MKS TH something. I don't know if you have any experience with that. Like, I think so. Here's the two-part question. Maybe this will be interesting to people who have a Voron. Should I fix the wiring loom, or should I just take the opportunity to go to CANBUS? Because I know you did that. And the second thing is, if I do go to CANBUS, it, like, are there? I know you have a custom tool head cover. Is there for that MKS board? Like, am I facing an uphill battle not using like a big tree tech?
yes. I love Can. I really like Can. Can is not great right now.
Really?
It's somebody just said it in the chat. I would absolutely wait for the Nighthawk board from LDO.
Okay.
Because that's going to communicate over USB instead of CAN.
Oh.
CAN is finicky the way it's implemented in printers. If it's got too much EMI, electromagnetic interference, or
Okay.
like if you don't have your baud rate just right, it won't detect properly, or it'll time out and get communication issues. It's reached this like 75% of the way there thing in 3D
Really?
printing. It really needs some actually PO Poly. One of the things I'm hoping we see come from the Magneto X is they've actually created some simple scripts that make it easier. Because like, you know how when you set up
Huh.
Clipper, you have to seek out your ID for your board and you have to put that in your config for your USB connection. You have to do that with CAN too, but it's like a step or two more difficult and sometimes doesn't detect properly.
Right.
And they've actually made a script where you like plug in a URL into your browser and it pulls that for you. And also a second script that'll then put it into your config for you. And like such a
Whoa.
simple thing that we hope we see it implemented into the Clipper mainline.
Whoa.
But documentation is not there when it comes to CAN.
So that's my concern.
It's
Like,
yeah, like even Big Tree Tech. Like their documentation's great, but every once in a while it's like connect your CAN board, enter this command, done. And I'm like, yeah, but what happens when that doesn't work? Like there's no if this happens, do this. Like I
Okay.
then you're heading to the Discord and asking questions and being like,
And that's
"Hey,
exactly what
this
I don't have time for.
I
Um,
exactly." And it's wasted so much of my time. Um
okay, that's good advice. So basically you're saying fix the wiring harness. There's also this element of like I have a printer that works except for one mechanical broken thing that I have to just find where the pinch is. And it's like, do I really want to go into Clipper and redo all I hate the software part of building printers. Like I hate it. I love the building of them. But then like the going in, configuring the MCUs, configuring all the pins. That's one of the reasons I love the LDO kits, because they're like, here is the config file.
yeah, at the
Um,
most you have to do is go through and, if you have a 300, uncomment this.
right,
Done. You know.
right.
Yeah. No, I would say stick with stick with
Fixing the
the
harness.
fix the chain, fix the cable. That does sound like it's probably your issue.
Yeah,
Those cable chains just they wear out over time. There's chafing inside of there. The wires just chafe on each other. They chafe on the
yeah.
chain.
Well, I was just
But
gonna solder it, but maybe I'll just hit Jason up or order on AliExpress and get a replacement. I need to get the machine
yeah,
back up and running.
right. But LDO is coming out with the Nighthawk board, which is basically a CAN board that communicates over USB. And
Got it.
that that it's basically like adding another MCU to your setup.
So
I'm
someone told me that I
hopeful
could do that with the MKS board because it has at the tool head a USB input, but I don't know if that's power or CAN.
you I have not used that one, so I can't say. It does have that functionality. Big Tree Tech boards do as well.
Ah, so my
But
Octopus would output via USB, the CAN?
um no, there's another problem. The Octopus board has CAN, but it's over that little like RJ11, the phone
Yeah,
port that's on the thing,
right.
and the pinout in the pinout in the diagram is like non-existent. So if you actually want to use that, you have to then go seek out secondary information about how to wire to that.
Right.
And that's the
So I
stuff where I'm
have
like, Big Tree
a
Tech,
like
why?
secondary prep board from MKS that I could use, but it sounds like all this is not worth it. And if the Nighthawk isn't ready, then I should just not.
I would, for you, for what it sounds like, I would just replace your cables, just replace that, get your machine back up and running.
That's
And
what I
when the
think.
Nighthawk is there and ready, hit up Jason. I'm sure he'll send you on. And
Yeah.
that's going to be a much simpler implementation of a
And
similar
that
concept.
keeps the Octopus board, or that's replacing both boards.
No, you'll keep the Octopus board with that. It's just adding a
Okay.
second MCU effectively, which
Which sounds
you
like what
can
the
run.
MKS board does, basically.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like with all the Big Tree Tech boards, the EBB 36, 42, and 2209, whatever
Yeah.
2240, you can run those in USB mode.
Okay.
But
Let's see. I have a
like if you go
picture.
through, because I was thinking about I'm having CAN issues on my Mercury One, and I
Yeah.
was thinking about setting that up as USB because it's got really slow connection. I send a signal to the like it's got a filament runout sensor on the tool head.
Yeah.
I can pull a filament out of it and wait 2 minutes, and then it'll be like, "Oh, we ran out of filament." Well, you failed to print 2 minutes ago.
Gotcha.
It's just really slow for some reason that I haven't figured out. And so I was
Yeah.
like, "Oh, maybe USB communication will be a lot faster." Great, but the um, the documentation from Big Tree Tech about that is if you want to run it in USB mode, compile your firmware like this, and that is all the documentation there is about running it in USB mode. And I'm
Got
like,
it.
I know how to tackle that, but for most people, that's not enough information.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay. I'm glad I asked you. It's going to save me a lot of hassle. I'm looking now at this MKS because someone brought it over, a local distributor. Shout out to Filament Tech for that. They brought it over and they're like, try it on your next project. Maybe I don't want to deal with the hassle. Yeah.
yeah, like I like CAN, but CAN is a hassle.
Yeah.
That's all there is to it. Like
Yep.
it just is.
Yep. All right. I'll ask Jason about that. People are talking about the Nighthawk really positively.
Yeah, I
Awesome.
mean, a lot of people are anticipatory about the Nighthawk. It's the I know like the Annex guys are big about USB. They don't like
Right.
CAN. They want to go USB, USB.
Right.
Uh, Part of my problem too is USB cable life. I'm concerned about because
Yeah.
like if we're literally just running a USB cable we picked up off of Amazon to connect to these things, like how long is that really good? You know how it is. Your phone charging cable stops charging after 6 months of just plugging and unplugging it. I know there are various grades of USB cables, but like if you got a 3D
Simon
printer
says
going like
exactly
this
this.
all the time,
Yeah. The
how long is
USB
that going to
cables
last?
don't last long is what he says. But at the same time, it's kind of right in line with the whole Voron thing. Like you can get
Oh,
a NEMA 17 stepper motor like that if yours goes out. Not that stepper motors go out, but if we're now no longer using these custom wiring harnesses anymore, I can Amazon Prime same day deliver another USB cable and have the printer up and running and keep 10 of them on hand, you know, and
totally.
treat
And
it
I
as a
looked into it.
consumable, you know.
There are USB cables, like constant flex is what it's called in the
Yeah.
industrial space. There are USB constant flex cables.
Right.
They're intended for robotics and CNC machinery,
Yep.
but like a USB-C constant flex cable that's long enough, because I was looking into this,
Sure.
you're talking $100, $200. Well, versus your
Wow.
$10 cable off of Amazon that, yeah, like you could buy 20 of them for that. So
Wow. Yeah, I don't want to spend
I mean,
$100 on a
don't get me
cable.
wrong
That's
too,
more
you
than the
can
board
also
is going
crimp
to
your
be.
own cables. You can crimp USB cables. You can make your own custom
That's
cables.
true. That's true.
But then again, we're back to like now
Yeah.
you took something you were trying to do easier and now you got to make your own custom cable for it. It's a hole in the market that I actually have a cable right now that I'm going to be using on probably on both the Trident and the Voron 2.4 builds where it actually has I have to make my own cables still, but it has all the conductors to run both CAN and USB through the same cable from
Uh-huh.
3DO. They intend it for that nozzle camera that they have. Um,
Uh-huh.
so because that was one of my problems with the Beacon bed scanner
Yeah.
was that I'd have to not only run my CAN cable, but then I have to run a USB cable just for that bed scanner. And I'm like, I don't want to do
Uh,
that. Um, but now 3DO has this cable that has all of it in one cable, one sleeved thing. It's got all the conductors you need to supply power, ground, USB high, USB low, 5 volt,
wow.
actually power and ground for both CAN and USB through one cable.
Wow.
Shielded, whole 9 yards. And it's not that crazy. Fabrico's selling them in the US anyway. But 3DO, I think they're a European company.
Okay.
But again, you've got to make that cable. So that's like a bit of a barrier.
Yeah.
Somebody just needs to make pre-crimped, ready to roll cables for these applications that
You
can
know,
hold up.
that's actually, I've been thinking a lot. God, we could do this once a week and we'd have stuff to talk about. And I have to go pick up my kids soon. But I've been thinking a lot about like channels like yours and mine. What kind of products can we make? Right? Uncle Jesse has the resin lapse thing. Stefan has the heated inserts. Forgot the name in English. You should do those
Yep.
cables. You should find a factory. I'm sure Jason could help you find a factory and make that your product. I don't know what I do
I've
because I'm not good at anything but talking. But you are
yeah,
good at builds.
I've heavily considered that. Like my Ruby with all of her entrepreneurial stuff is always like, you
Yeah.
need to productize. You need to be like having something that people could buy. Like you
Cable's
basically
a
all
hell
I
of
do
an
is give stuff
idea.
away for free. And it is I get it. Like it is. It,
Huh.
it finding the application and my biggest problem with productizing things is support. Like,
You can
you
outsource
know,
that.
I sell that cable to somebody and now they think that they can come to me for their whole CAN
Oh
setup
man, you can outsource that.
information.
My merch line, like I found a partner, Fourth Wall, and they'll actually warehouse stuff and do customer support for you. It's not just stuff that they print. You can ship them a pallet of cables and they'll just be your provider.
Hmm.
Um, there's a few of them that will do that. Ship Zoom does my books for my last business.
Mhm.
So you can don't let that stop you. But also, if you want, I have a this lady that I've worked with for literally 20 years. Like she has a side hustle. Well, she'll just go to the factories and negotiate for you as a local, and then you'll get local prices, and she'll make sure that they're not going to screw you. I'm sure Jason would help you with it though.
Yeah. Yeah, and maybe eventually that's those things are on my mind. The next
Yep.
thing for me is merch. I need to do
Yep.
merch.
Fourth wall.
I need
That's
to
what I've
get
been doing.
I,
I've sold only 2
same.
shirts though, so
Well, that's why I haven't done it yet.
right.
Is like when I had Hot Rod Hippie, I still have Hot Rod Hippie. I could count. I sold a couple dozen shirts the entire life of putting effort into Hot Rod Hippie,
Right.
and I'm like, eh, however
But
much
then I
we
look at
love to
like
think
Yes
that
Theory
people.
and they're doing like many millions of dollars a year, but they have a full clothing line like with, you know,
I mean, like LTT has their LTT store, and like
yeah,
I've actually talked to them about sponsoring my videos to talk about
right.
LTT store. Like they're big enough that they're sponsoring other creators to
Right.
push their stuff. Like,
Well, and but their
um,
products are like innovative. They're not just I mean, I'll be honest, I'm just taking a Next Level shirt. That's the brand of these like really soft shirts that I like and someone's screen printing on it. They're actually like developing and innovating bags and bottles and all kinds of stuff.
well, and right, and like I have an LTT backpack. It is the nicest backpack I've ever had. That's not a
Right.
camera bag,
Right.
and like that, and that's part of the problem. Again, Ruby's like, oh, you should productize, you should do merch and whatever. I'm like,
Right.
but then we get like we went to LTX and she's got a couple of LTX LTT t-shirts and hoodies now from that,
Right.
and she's like, these are just really nice. I'm like, that's the problem is I don't just want to have a shirt. I want to have a really nice shirt, and
Yep.
like
Next
making that
Level.
happen as a
Next
small business
Level,
is
or
not
there's
easy.
another brand, I forget what they're called. Like it's 2 names. Like uh, Next Level is really good, but they're so soft they pick up lint like really
Mm,
bad. Hold
it's
on,
annoying.
Google softest t-shirt brands.
I set up an account with Fourth Wall, and I've been meaning to do a couple of
Bella
samples.
Canvas.
Check it out.
Bella Canvas
Hmm?
is like if you do your merch on Bella Canvas or Next Level. I know this because I did merch for many, many years in my other business. Like you'll never get a complaint, and people literally will say, "I wear it twice a week because it's the softest shirt I own." Speaking of Ruby, I have one more question, then I really got to go pick up my kids. But Kevin Vanderbeck wants to know any chance we're going to see Ruby on the channel or starting her own YouTube or on your channel more?
Nope.
Nope.
Um, we she'll be in from time to time, but like we've tried, she's good on camera. She's really good on camera. But she's gets in her head too much.
Yeah,
Um, she just she's just too self-conscious about being on camera, and
fair enough.
you know how it is. It takes a while to get over that. And
Yeah,
her as a woman, like feeling societal pressures about all those kinds of things and being self-conscious about herself from years of, you know,
I
whatever.
get that. I did a
It's
course. I
hard.
I used to do a lot of courses with other content creators. Like I'd bring in an expert on fitness and he'd talk about fitness and I'd produce the course. And then I did a couple with women after doing like 3 or 4 with men and it was just like, "Oh, wow." Like there is a lot more pressure for you to look good and have the makeup be right and the lighting needs to be flattering or there's going to be, even if it's not comments, it's like you've got so much stuff in your head from years and years of, it's like you and I flick the camera on, like, I'm not too yellow. This kind of bothers me a little bit, but otherwise, screw it. Ready to go live.
I think about it like 9 times out of 10, I don't even look in a mirror before I get on camera. And like
Same.
the number of times I've gone, like I said, the way I film and edit, I start filming the intro and I go to edit it and I look at it and I go, I got to go change my shirt, or oh, my
Yeah.
fly was down. Like just
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
dumb
That's
things that
happened to me.
I didn't even think about.
Totally.
Um yeah, so unfortunately she's great. She's going to be contributing to videos more.
Cool.
Like my next video has a time lapse sketch of
Yeah.
the whole project at the beginning of it. Part of the intro is she sat down on her iPad and drew a sketch of what the
Amazing.
project is. She did a time lapse of it. So like
Cool.
her contribution will be felt.
Awesome. That's great.
So
Uh, I want to let you go. Make sure, folks, to check out not only MandicReally, but also now Mandic Labs. And you've got some exciting builds coming up. Uh, Let us know in the chat, folks, if you made it this far. If you like this kind of more conversational, less interview format, I like it more. I think I need to first get to know people in an interview, but then I'd love to have past guests come on and we could do this once in a while and just check in. Alan, thanks for coming on, man. It was a blast as always.
Thank you very much for having me again. And yeah, this was not stressful, which is always nice. Just
Awesome.
having a chat with a friend and interacting with an audience. I like that. So
Awesome, man. Well, talk soon, and appreciate the tip on the Voron.
yeah,
Take care, man.
thanks for having me.
Thanks for tuning in to the Infill Podcast. For show notes or links to anything mentioned in today's episode, visit thenextlayer.com. If you enjoyed the episode, please don't forget to leave us a review wherever you're listening, or click the like button to let us know. And consider subscribing to The Next Layer on YouTube so you can tune in live and participate in the next conversation. We'll see you on the next layer.